ask you on a personal level, what's it feel like now to be leaving a state as the winner, a state that 4 years ago you and your team left under much less positive circumstances? How do you feel this morning?
Joe, we feel very, very good. As you can imagine, you've been in our spot before, and you know how huge it is to be able to have a win. Look, just a few weeks ago, we were way behind, and to be able to come from behind and to edge out the other contestants, I think both Ron Paul and Rick Santorum had very positive nights. I'm obviously very excited about the results from last night.
Coming out of Iowa, it was unbelievably ambiguous. I mean, to think that Governor Romney, with his team on the ground for, 6 years now, basically did no better than he did last time. You've got three people basically sharing a tie, and a whole lot of people who are looking for an alternative. And now the marketplace, Joe, is going to turn to New Hampshire, and nobody here really cares about what happened in Iowa.
I'm so tired. I've
loved That is John Huntsman and also Mitt Romney talking about their battles. Mika, of course, has her own battle with bad food. That's why I have become a champion of health causes and good eating and good diet.
This is Kelly's special here at Java Joe's.
Well, you know what?
She made it with skim milk?
It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's disappointing to me that you don't take better care of yourself.
I'm tired.
Let's go right now to a congressman from Illinois who does take good care of himself.
Look how fit he is.
All right, I have seen the pictures that have proven it. Aaron Schock,
I'm putting it down.
And he's also supporting the Romney campaign. Thank you so much.
Good morning, guys. Good to be with you.
You've got to be shocked by this garbage that Mika's drinking.
No, I'm not doing it.
I joined her in her effort.
I'm putting it away.
You're drinking the same thing. So Michael Still is here, and he wants to start with the questions. Michael.
I do. You're supporting Romney, and you're conservative. You're part of that new wave of leadership in the House. How come this guy is not connecting with average conservatives out there? He's sitting at 25%. He's not peaking. Last night, you compare and contrast the two speeches. You have Santorum, who gives a passionate narrative about himself and how he connects to people. He's got the hole in the shoe, for walking the same walk as average Americans. Romney gets up and starts with Iran, starts talking very technocratically. And conservatives are sitting there going, okay, here we go. How do you move beyond that? I mean, how does someone like you convince someone like me that this guy is the real deal, Aaron, and that when he gets to the White House, he's going to do his thing?
Good point. Well, I'll tell you, the 2 days I was with him last week on the bus, I thought he did a great job of connecting emotionally. He had his wife, Ann, out there. They were talking about, her struggles with MS. They were talking about raising their boys. They were talking about their belief in America. And I think they struck a chord with Iowa, and they're starting to get it. Now, I'm not suggesting last night's speech was his best, but I think the reason he's done so well in Iowa is because he's starting to get his groove on.
Right.
And the media's even picked up on the fact that...
I don't think he did so well in Iowa.
You don't?
Well,
he won.
He won by 8 votes.
A win is a win. Landslide Romney, baby.
No, I mean, this is how he did so well. I mean, there would be a much larger
He wasn't
gap.
even expected to be in the top 3 a couple of months ago.
All right, so
consider this. He had 100 full-time.
No, this is not. Look, Joe, you're right. He wasn't expected to be the top 3 3 months ago. But when you come in and
5 years later,
with the bravado of I'm the guy now who's going to take charge, this just didn't happen in the last 6 months. He's been running for the last 6 years, and so after 6 years, you're still getting maybe 7 or 8 votes more than you got 6 years ago.
Aaron, what do you say to that?
How do you do it?
Mitt Romney's got a plan to become our nominee. Right. That plan has never included winning Iowa. The fact that he did win Iowa means he's exceeded expectations. He's further on the path to be the nominee, and I think he feels very good where he is today as a supporter of Mitt Romney. I'm confident New Hampshire is going to play very well for Mitt Romney, and I think more and more conservatives like myself are going to say, wait a minute, we've been told this guy's not conservative enough. He's not the most conservative guy out there, but listen, he's balanced the budget all 4 years he was governor. He cut taxes 19 times. He created a $2 billion rainy day fund in a state like Massachusetts, and he did it with an 85% Democratic House and Senate. And you know what we need in Washington, D.C.? We don't need more great ideas and great plans. There's plenty of congressmen and senators who have great ideas.
Right.
What we need is somebody who can get it done.
So Eric Erickson this morning, he got up very early this morning to go after Mitt Romney. And he basically said the headline this morning is that the Tea Party has failed. For all of this talk about small government conservatism, they have selected big government conservatives. What would you say to Eric Erickson? What would you say to small government conservatives in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, and Florida to say that's not the case?
I don't know how
he's one of us.
I come from Illinois, all right? You give me a governor that cut taxes 19 times, that balances the
first
budget.
of all, hold on a second, though. If you're from Illinois, just say, give me a governor that doesn't get indicted. And that's a little bit better, right?
Okay,
Fair enough.
now.
But anyway, go ahead. I interrupted you.
But since when?
You got to say, the bar is set pretty low in Illinois to succeed your predecessor. But go ahead.
But you give me a governor who balances the budget all 4 years, who cuts taxes, who creates a rainy day fund. What's not conservative about that? I mean, what is the Tea Party's major issue? Reducing the size of government. What is Mitt Romney's track record in business, making companies profitable? In the Olympics, turning around a dysfunctional Olympics and making it profitable? In government, as governor, turning around a dysfunctional state like Massachusetts in the worst of times? To me, that's conservative, and somebody not only who's conservative, but who can deliver on those principles, and that's what we need.
Aaron, as a small government conservative, though, how do you defend, as now a supporter and a surrogate for Mitt Romney, how do you defend what he did with health care in the state of Massachusetts? If you believe that small government is better, how do you defend that?
Well, I think he says it best. He did what was best for Massachusetts. And his health care law is still favored 3-1 in that state. And what his principles are, look, we believe in the Federalist principles. We believe in state rights. And what he's saying is we don't believe in doing for one state what we should be doing for the entire nation. And so that's why he believes in repealing Obamacare and saying, look, each state should be able to try out and test and do what they think is best for their state. Being in Illinois, I can assure you what we do in health care is going to be much different than what South Carolina or Florida does. And that's ultimately what a conservative believes is in states' rights.
Do you think he's convinced other conservatives, though? Is that argument winning the day, that he did what he had to do in Massachusetts, even though it wasn't a conservative thing to do? Are other conservatives convinced of that?
Well, I think so. I mean, look, I would argue we have one of the most conservative houses in probably the last 5, 6 decade. And he has more conservative Republicans in the House endorsing Mitt Romney than any other candidate.
But what about here in Iowa? I mean, Congressman King. What's that about? Why wouldn't he just endorse Mitt Romney?
Well, he didn't endorse him last time, and I think Congressman King just stayed out of it so that the rest of the constituents could have the opportunity to meet all the candidates one-on-one. But look, Iowa's a tough place to win. I mean, this is not a I don't remember the last candidate who ran away with Iowa. So the fact that he was able to win, the fact that he was able to do well and exceed expectations, I think is a win on his board, and kudos to his team.
I certainly agree with you on that part. Let me ask you really quickly about Congress. You guys are going to go back into session. You look at last year's session, though, and look at the fact that the deficit went up another $1 trillion under, yes, the president's leadership and the Senate's leadership, but also under what was supposed to be a very conservative House. You and I both know, if you read the Constitution, all spending bills start in the House of Representatives. If the House doesn't approve it, it doesn't get spent. And yet another $1 trillion deficit this past year. What can John Boehner, what can Eric Cantor, what can the Republican Congress do to make sure we don't have another $1 trillion added to our national debt at the end of this year?
Well, I think we need your help in holding the Senate accountable. I mean, look, when I go back to my district and remind voters it's been over 2 years since the United States Senate passed a budget, they kind of step back and say, you're kidding me. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's been over 2 years since the United States Senate passed a budget. How can we in the House negotiate with ourselves?
Well,
we passed a budget.
I agree with that, except for one thing. And I do agree with that. I think the Senate Democrats have been shameful in their refusal to put a budget on the floor because they know they'd get killed for doing it. But you have the checkbook. And I will tell you how I control the checkbook. The kids come and ask me for money. I take the checkbook.
You say, here's the credit card, Joey.
Stop it. I put the checkbook back in my pocket. You guys can stop this spending, can't you?
Sure, we could shut the government down.
Now you're talking.
All right,
you know how to do that. Why don't we agree we'll end on a point of agreement there. I'm suddenly very optimistic about the new year.
Oh,
Councilman, thank you.
Hey,
we need to go to your home district.
Love
We're
to
going
have
to
you
see
in
how it's
Peoria.
playing in Peoria.
Great.
We'll do it in the middle of this campaign.
All
Great
right.
to have you in the
Thank
Midwest.
Aaron.
Thanks.
Great
We'll
to
be
be
right
here.
back.
All right.